Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 6th June 2017. I have one good news to share with you. Yesterday I received a call from a person by name Dinesh, and he got 6th rank, and he was regular follower of our current affairs, and he has openly endorsed us, and with him our total number of people who endorsed us has become 109. It means the people who are following our current affairs, total number who got selected are 109. So they play a minor role, but still they play a role. So let's come back to the newspaper. The case for a rate cut. So here he is arguing that the monetary policy stance has to be eased. The monetary policy has to facilitate the growth process. That is what is the argument. In this, the first argument is demonetization did not worst affect the growth by itself. To an extent, demonetization has worsened the growth in manufacturing and construction sector. Attributing the fall in growth only to demonetization is not appropriate. And second is, last year we had the advantage of fall in oil prices. Because of this, there is a multiplier effect. But oil prices by and large got stabilized now. And the third thing is, export market is not yet still picked up. So these are also the reasons which we can state for the fall in GVA this year. And the next is, what we have to do now. Today, Monetary Policy Committee and its stand is towards inflation targeting. Target for them is 4 plus or minus 2%. MPC has set 4% as a target for inflation. If you take Mr. Arvind Subramanian's argument, India has overachieved on its inflation. And on the other hand, if you take policy stance of fiscal environment or fiscal policy stance, government is looking for fiscal consolidation. So there is no stimulus from the fiscal side, and there is also no stimulus from monetary policy side. So that's what is tripling the growth. Yesterday's article talks about lack of stimulus from the fiscal policy side. Today's article talks about lack of easing of monetary policy. That's why the growth engine is not picking up as expected. And another thing, what is being stated here is, RBI used to tell, once the rates are decreased, the bond yields also will come down. And foreigners try to move away into the other economy, a flight of capital is possible. So when the bond yields decreased, so these people will move to the other economy to invest in that economy to maximize their yield. So it may have worst effect on the exchange rate. But today if you observe, rupee is actually appreciating and we have sufficient forex reserves. So that can also be not a reason for RBI not to reduce the monetary policy stance or monetary policy rates. So to provide for the growth, RBI has to reduce the rates. That is what is the repeated statement this person is making over here. Finessing data collection. So data is essential for every planning. So in this context, recently under Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, a committee was formed to improve the employment and related statistics. As of now, multiple agencies collect data in India, and what agency does what? That's a very good prelims question for you. Just try to go through them. So in this, the data is collected through a survey method. So now this article recommends that we have to move towards time scale method to measure the unemployment rate. For example, in a day I may not be totally vacant. I may be performing multiple jobs. The existing surveys, they take into relevance only one job which I do rather than how I allocate my time into different time scales. So that's what has to be taken into consideration to estimate the unemployment levels in the country. That is the article's position is. And Maha farm crisis. So farm crisis in country is awaiting to happen. So in UPA 1 and 2, it is land acquisition which has boosted the farm crisis. Now, It is the losses, lack of income security that is what is fermenting this farm crisis. Let us see it this way. The minimum support price, the entire crop planning in India is dependent on this. So this minimum support price is available for only certain crops. So in this context, as and when the production surplus comes up, this is automatically leading to decrease or fall in prices of the goods as they are not covered by minimum support price. And second is, crop insurance is not yet penetrated in India. So crop insurance has to ensure the income insurance for the people. You already know Pradhana Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is trying to do that. And the third thing, market. So agricultural produce marketing committees, they have fragmented the agricultural markets. So though you have the surplus, you don't have the chance to sell them in the markets where the product is not available. For instance, in Andhra Pradesh, this year we have surplus of mango production. When I go to Delhi, I don't see any mangoes being sold there. Even they are sold, they are very expensive. So if the national market is integrated, obviously farmers can see greater revenues. So added to that, code of contract farming, it also need to be put in place. These are the various things which are being recommended here. So the farm crisis is just awaiting to happen, and Maharashtra is the first example where it has happened. So the strike's major demands, if you carefully observe, is the loan waivers and reduction in costs of the electricity, or rising the subsidies on electricity and rising the minimum support prices. All these, they point to one single thing, that is income security for the farmers. Diplomatic mayhem. So it is, so 5 Arab countries, they have, they broke their diplomatic relations with Qatar. What might be the reason for this? You know that in West Asia, Shia-Sunni conflict is very strong. That is one thing. And second thing is, Salafism versus Wahhabism. This fight is there. So, Arabs versus others. There is, with regard to Israel, there is one fight. So it means there is a Cold War which is going on between Iran and Saudi Arabia, the entire Arab world and Israel. So in this context, Al Jazeera is a powerful voice of the entire Arab world, and it is being financed and established by Qatar rulers. And second, Qatar is or always had very good diplomatic and economic relations with Iran. And ruler also spoke in favor of Iran. Though he is part of GCC, many a times he is in favor of Iran, and he wants to maintain the balance between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Finally, it has led to breakdown of the ties with the other countries, especially Saudi, UAE, Bahrain, Egypt, these are the countries. The most critical aspect which has been stated is their support to Muslim Brotherhood. So in Egypt, Muslim Brotherhood and the leader of this Muslim Brotherhood was overthrown, and the present regime is a military regime out there. So support to Muslim Brotherhood is considered as a support to terrorists, and it is cited as a reason for withdrawal of diplomatic relations. If you observe natural gas, Qatar is the highest exporter. And also Qatar has world's largest sovereign wealth fund. And India wants to get investments from this sovereign wealth fund. So that's why Qatar is very much important for us. So one is from the perspective of remittances, from the perspective of investments, and also from energy security, Qatar is very much important to us. And for the United States of America, they have their military base and also air base in Qatar. So the command is located in Qatar. That's why it is very much important even for United States of America. Let's go to the president should be a voice for sanity and fairness. So you know that the president of India, is he a rubber stamp, or does he have any critical role with regard to the day's politics are concerned? It is a standard UPSC question. So in this context, you can add value in your answer through Amartya Sen's statement. So that is, president should be a voice of sanity and fairness. And the second point Amartya Sen stressing is, the President of India also has to be an agent to protect the federal structure of the Indian Constitution. So these 2 points can be enlarged or to make your answer enriched. So you can talk about Amartya Sen and you can use this to quote your answers. A passage through Europe. Yesterday's article continuation is this. The world is in flux, and the Trump's and his participation and statements after G7 have really angered the European Union leaders, and he has kept the entire world in danger by moving away from the Paris Climate Change Pact. And also his protectionist attitude is sending shivers across Europe, and Europe is looking for engagement sideways. So Asia is going to be the largest trade partner to the world in the coming days. And already the China is the world's largest manufacturer. India is the world's largest services exporter. So in these circumstances, from Asia, in these circumstances, China and European Union, they may be coming close together. But however, fundamentally on values front, they may not be close because European Union and its liberal order, it may get threatened because of China. And European Union also has its own threats from Russia. So Prime Minister Modi clearly stating that India is going to move forward with the commitments at Paris climate change has clearly conveyed to the global leaders in this tour that India is ready in protecting the global order and India is a responsible power. That is what is the message which is being communicated. And second thing is, India don't want to see the terrorists as binaries of good and bad terrorists. So this has also been strongly communicated. Trade, terrorism, and also relationships or communication on the basis of India's stand. These are the major outcomes of this particular trip of Prime Minister Modi. Let's go to the front page. GSLV MK3. As of now, our power horse was PSLV. So GSLV MK3, it can place the communication satellites in geostationary transfer orbit. And this GSLV MK3, it can carry the payload up to 4000 kg. And it has its own cryogenic engine. So it is an indigenously developed cryogenic engine. With this, the entire space program of India has become indigenous. And also in trade, space commerce, India has a special arm that is called Antariksh. So this Antariksh is actively involved with regard to the PSLV and remote sensing satellites. It has got a new weapon that is GSLV, and India has got an innovation that has decreased the cost of the space commerce. So in this context, India is going to benefit much from this particular launch. So already we discussed this particular point. Now again, a small notes is been given. So for me to prepare the notes into that particular 4 subheadings, it is taking a lot of time. The essence of the notes, I am typing it over here. I think this is more than sufficient. Doing that, it is taking 2 or 3 years because I am not good at as a typist. So please go through this particular notes which will be posted in likes.in/civils prep. Thank you very much. All the best.